Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Rocketfuel Show. My name is Michael. This is Drew. Good morning, Drew. How are you?
Good morning, Michael. It's good to see you again. Always glad to be talking marketing, and I've got my coffee ready. So got my own little version of Rocket Fuel right here.
Nice, nice. How have you been? We usually sort of chat back and forth during the week, but we're both busy. So, anything notable, newsworthy, and notable in the life of Drew over the last week?
It's really exciting. We got our first episode of the podcast out last week, and so got a few subscribers, starting to get a little bit of attention there. But
Good attention or bad attention, Drew? Is it good attention or bad attention?
you know what? Any press is good press. No, it's
That's what they say.
I
That's
like
what
to
they
think it's
say.
some good attention, we're in the middle of summer, and so there's all kinds of stuff going on. Family vacations are all done, and now we've spent time with the kids, and now we're ready for the kids to go back to school. Um,
Yes, yes. This is around this time. I'm all about the traditional school calendar until about halfway through the summer, and then I'm. You know what? This year round school thing may have something there. But anyway, good. It's
well,
good
and
seeing you.
and you got to think about I've got an unusual situation. My kids are 9 years apart. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've got one that's actually getting ready to go to college. And so we're purchasing all of the stuff that he needs for college.
Yeah,
Um, and then I've got one that's going into fourth grade. Um, and so, we've got all of the school supplies and back to school sales and
yeah.
uniforms and all that stuff.
I
Um,
get it. I get it.
and
Hey,
so
and
lots
pro
of,
tip, it's good that you're buying stuff away from the college town. I think the college Walmarts and the college Targets, they know it's like Disney World there, and the prices are just a little off. That was our experience with our oldest daughter when we took her to college. It was like, I don't think this cost this at our local Walmart. But so good job, good on you to get that stuff. So, we until we get a professional intro outro, I want to touch on each time before we get to the main topic of the day. Why are we doing this, Drew? Who is this for? And what can people be looking forward to?
all right. So we started the Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast or show, whatever we want to call it, um, to to help people understand that when you're doing marketing for your business, that there's a lot of things that maybe you don't think about that are going to be expenses involved with it. A lot of things that maybe look like good deals aren't such good deals, and some things that maybe a little bit more expensive up front actually end up making you more money. And so there's a difference between the cost and the price of something, but there's also a lot of things that sometimes you just don't realize that you're going to need to do with your marketing. And so we started the Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast. Specifically, season one here is all about those hidden costs that you're going to find in different aspects of your marketing. And I tend to focus more on digital marketing because that's my area of expertise. Michael and I both are experts in our field. We've both been in marketing for a long time. I've been in over 25 years. Michael, I don't think you're 25 years old yet, so
I'm getting there next week, I think.
maybe
Next
next
week.
maybe next week.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. So half my life I've been in marketing. Um, so, um, but we also tend to run into a lot of the same questions when we're talking to clients and potential clients. And so for for me, the three people that I'm really talking to in this podcast are that solopreneur, or that person who's starting a business or maybe has never done any marketing for their business, that just needs to know, what do I need to do to market my new business? What do I need to do to kind of get this thing off the ground? And what are some things that I need to consider when I'm making my business plan? Maybe you're applying for an SBA loan or something like that, and you need to know what it's going to cost you to market things. The second person is that business that's been in business for a while, and you're kind of growing to that next level. Um, and this is who we typically work with at my company at Escape Plan Marketing. Um, that mid-sized company that's shooting for between a million and 20 million in sales, and maybe you started the company out of your garage, but now you've got facilities and people and a lot more customers to deal with, and you're making the things, but it's time for you to take your hands off of your marketing and bring somebody else in to do that, but you're not really sure where to start and how to make that happen. So that's that second person that we talk to, and then the third person we talk to typically works for that second person. Maybe you brought in a marketing director, or somebody just to kind of take control of the marketing, but they're still a single person and they need to outsource things. They need to go buy the software. They need to go subscribe to the tools online, and they need some guidance on how to do that. So those are the three people that this podcast is really for.
Well, and that's a great segue into this week's topic, which is I know the overarching theme for the season one is hidden costs. Well, we're going to look at hidden costs for one of these tools and softwares that you were just alluding to,
Right.
which is Shopify. The little engine that could, right? No, Shopify is enormous. It's a big
It's
bear
huge.
to wrestle to the ground if you're a solopreneur. Even if you are running, if you're a dedicated marketing director, very rarely are you going to run into somebody in house that's going to have sort of the expertise that you need in Shopify, excuse me. So, what Drew's going to do is he's going to share his screen, and I apologize up front for those of you that are listening to this in the car. It's going to get a little dry. This is going to be a visual walkthrough of Shopify. I'm going to do my best to keep up with Drew, and he's going to do his best to keep up with me. But I encourage you, if you're listening to this, go to YouTube. And if you want to see the insides of Shopify, the admin panel, sort of a spreadsheet that we're going to be looking at, I encourage you guys to catch this on video. So back to whoever is looking at this on video. Drew, go ahead and share your screen.
All right,
And
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. But before I do that, I just want to say this: these podcasts, we're not necessarily saying you should or shouldn't use Shopify.
right, good
Um,
point. Great
each
point.
tool has its place, and so we just know that we've done some Shopify websites, and these are some of the things that we've run into that maybe you're not going to be aware of. And so I'm going to say right out the bat, Shopify is a great tool. It's an excellent tool, but it's going to cost you more than you know to get involved with that. And you're going to have to make sure that you account for all of the work that's going to be involved in making sure that you have a great Shopify site that's going to move your product. And that's really kind of the point of this. It's not necessarily to say, oh, well, we like this tool or we don't like this tool. Sometimes we will say that because if we think something's not going to be a good tool for specific situations, we're going to let you know.
Yeah, and
Um,
if Shopify is listening and they want to sponsor this podcast, that's another story. But while Drew is pulling up the screen share, if you can go ahead and pull that up, I
yeah,
am
I'm
going
going
to
to go ahead
make a
and pull that
point.
up now.
So the thing that has ruined has been the a blessing and a curse in the e-commerce space are platforms like eBay and Amazon.com, or just Amazon.com. Who says .com anymore? But eBay and Amazon, because that experience that you get on those from companies that are some of the biggest in the known universe, um, that's the expectation people have at any e-commerce site.
That's right.
So that expectation, so the way I've heard it put in the past is the definition between expectation and reality is called frustration. That gap. And
Hmm.
so when as uh, platforms like Shopify out of the box, it's quote unquote easy, but you want to measure that against what sort of experience you want to give the people that you are trying to serve. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So go ahead and Drew, let's. I've got some bullet points here.
Hmm.
The thing that I want to start off with that you have here is just what sort of monthly plans are people looking at with Shopify? This is a subscription service. Everything seems to be a subscription service these days. But what are
Absolutely.
the monthly plans people are looking at?
Well, so you can start off with a 14-day free trial, which is basically how you start everything.
Right.
And like a lot of software online, and Shopify, to be clear, Shopify, you're not building just a website in the traditional sense. It's not like a WordPress website or something that you can take with you to another host or something. Shopify is an app. It's an app that displays your products, your information to the web, and you can put it on your own domain. You can put it on their domain, but it's an app, and it's a subscription service that you pay for. And so a lot of times people say, okay, well, oh wow, is this a free service? Or no, it's not a free service. It's a paid service, and there are different levels to this service. So I set up a free trial here, and got some basic setup done in the website, but I purposefully did not do that much. Um, but the first thing that you see is up at the top. It says select a plan. Okay, now they put that up at the top, but really the first thing your eye goes to is add a product. And I've added a few products in here, but they want you to kind of get involved in this and start adding
Yes.
products right out of the bat so that you can kind of get a feel for it and then get hooked on it. But I'm going to go over to the select a plan and show you the plans that we've got. So you've got a basic Shopify, um, where you can choose that plan. It's a monthly payment, um, and you've got a couple staff members. You can add shipping, and you can add payments and all of those things. But keep in mind, all of those things cost extra. And so it's
Yes.
not like this just allows you to put your products on
Yes.
the site. But
This
if you want
allows
somebody
you
to
to
actually,
leverage the platform.
right,
This is table
if you want to
stakes.
actually use their checkout tools and their payment tools and all of those, there's extra fees involved with everything. And that's something we're going to get into later. You've
I
got
think
your
those are called hidden costs, Drew.
hidden costs. It's almost like somebody made a
I
podcast
know.
about
It's just
hidden
amazing.
costs. Okay, so you've got your basic Shopify, your just Shopify, which is your standard level, um, and then you've got your advanced Shopify, um, and you've got different locations. And a location is like if you've got an online store and you have a brick and mortar, like a storefront someplace, like in your on Main Street, or if you've got locations like Amazon or eBay or Facebook Marketplace. All of those are locations for your store, and you think of them like different store locations. And so you need to decide, what you're going to do as far as a plan, and then you've got additional things, so like social media starters, um, more pieces in there. Now with each plan, um, you can go in, you can choose monthly, yearly, 2 years, 3 years, um, and you can pay for all of that up front if you want. I suggest you go with a monthly plan, start with the basics, and then if you need to upgrade, you can upgrade anytime you want to, but see how the basics work for you and then decide if you're going to need to upgrade.
Yeah, I'm but let me
So,
jump in here real quick. As far as
but,
upgrading, I think you want to make it to where you outgrow your plan. And look, these
mhm,
folks are smart. They realize they have enough clients to know that at a certain it's probably either number of products or yearly revenue that when a shop gets that big in annual revenue, they're going to need extra tools. And
that's right.
they have that pretty scripted out. So, but I
Hmm.
would suggest going with as low of a plan as possible, outgrowing it, and then someone like Drew can help give you some guidance with that. So, not to get bogged down on the plans, but go ahead as far as and so Drew's right. Fire up a free account, look at the plans, see which one looks like it's a good fit for you, and then contact Drew if you need some guidance on that. But how about some themes? I mean, if you are a WordPress shop or a WordPress user, you know all about themes. So talk about what sort of
Right.
themes that Shopify has.
And this is an interesting thing where a lot of people don't realize that they're going to spend money. And so um, I've set up a basic store. I've added 3 products to my store, and I'm going to show you what my store looks like right now. I have not done any branding, any theming, anything. So this is the basics of what it
This is
comes
out
with.
of the box.
Out of the box store, I've got 3 products that I've put in here. And we'll get into adding products here later because that's something that um, that a lot of people don't realize how much work goes involved
Mm-hmm.
into that. But as you can see here, it's not much to look at. There, you're going to have to do a lot to really make this your
Right. And
store,
just
to
to
make it
and for the
unique.
guy for you guys who are, and we didn't prepare for this one, but Drew, if you could just pull up Amazon or eBay and show them what that front page looks like.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go to my smile.amazon.com.
There you go. So
And
this
I always go,
this is
here's a nice little tip. Always go to smile.amazon.com because it donates to your favorite charity whenever you make a purchase.
nice,
So
nice.
anyway,
So this is
but
what
this is amazon.com,
that's their homepage.
and
So and then
this is their homepage
toggle back and forth between what that just above the fold, what we're seeing above
just above the
the
fold here.
fold there, and then go back to okay. So vanilla, and then go back to the other one, and then
Vanilla
creme brulee.
chocolate caramel latte.
That's right. So just to give some context there, so I hate to jump in like
Yeah.
that, but yeah, I just wanted to show people and that
Mhm.
um, that a vanilla out of the box theme is going to take a little bit of zhuzhing to get it to the
Right.
point
And you
you want.
can do it, but there's a lot of work involved in that. And so the first thing you're going to want to do, I, I'd suggest add 2 or 3 products in at
Yep.
first. It's the first thing they ask you to do. Add a couple products in, and we'll get back to the products here in just a few minutes. But then go and customize the theme. And so you click on customize theme, and you go in and you see, okay, Dawn is the default theme. It's the default. Now you can go in and you can customize this a
Yep.
lot. And so I don't want to get into all
No.
the like nitty gritty nuts but there's a lot of customization that you can do, but there's a lot of work and a lot of know-how that has to happen there. And if you've never done this before, it's going to take you forever to do this. I mean, we're talking a matter of like 20 to 40 hours worth of work in here trying to hone this and figure it
Yep.
out and make sure that it's branded as you. You've got to go find your imagery. You got to create graphics. You've got to choose all your color schemes. All of these things are part of the
Right.
setup.
And that's just the
Um,
homepage.
that's just so that you have a homepage that
That's
looks like,
right.
and you have to choose products that are going to be
Mm-hmm.
featured. You've got to you. There's a lot of back and forth that happens in Shopify. So you go do one step, but it requires you do some things on the other steps as well to make it fully
Right.
functional. Um, Now they have some free themes. Um, and so the thing about your free themes is your site is going to look like every other Shopify site on the web. They're not bad themes, but then they've got this visit the theme store. And so you can go to the theme store. They have 9 free themes
All
total, 9 free themes. And then they've got paid themes. And paid themes, you're going to get a lot more out of it, but you're also going to pay more. I mean, we're seeing prices typically around $250 to $300 for a theme, um, which is not an expense that people are usually thinking about that they're going to have to do when they're already paying for a software subscription. But these themes are actually typically made by third parties that are authorized to sell their themes on the Shopify theme store. And so there's a lot of themes there. But even if you pay for the theme, you're still going to have to go in and you or somebody else is going to have to configure that
Yep.
theme, add your branding to it, add your colors to it. you're going to have to make it your own, whether you buy a theme or use one of the free
Yep.
themes. And so that's an important thing to remember. You can use it right out of the box. But if you want any kind of uniqueness to your store, if you want it to be your store and not just generic store, you're going to have to do spend some time
And
configuring
if you're gonna
those.
go DIY on this and you buy a theme, please scrub that theme. Because if you're a
Mhm,
candy shop and you use a dentist theme, sometimes they're gonna have dentist imagery and dentist
mhm,
some like stock dentist verbiage. And I've seen some
mhm.
nightmares on some Shopify shops that did not scrub their site when they launched, and it's like, well, wait a minute, I thought they sold candy. It's like,
It's always funny when you go to a website and they've left the default text for a
yep,
theme in the
yes,
website, and I've seen that on WordPress
hmm,
sites, on Wix sites, on Squarespace, and
absolutely.
all kinds of different
So let's
platforms.
go ahead. Yeah,
Okay,
let's
so
go ahead. I don't.
let's jump into some other
Yeah,
pieces
let
because this is going to
it
get
is.
really long, and I want to make sure it's valuable.
So let's
So,
wrap. Let's bundle the next 3 points you have here, Drew, in shipping, payments, and point of sale. Let's talk about those real
okay,
quickly.
so if you have an e-commerce store and you're selling physical products, you're probably going to need to send those to
Somebody,
somebody, unless you want everybody in the world coming to your your house or your storefront to pick everything up. And even so, um, they have to be able to pay for those items online. Those are expected things. Um, you want to make sure that shipping is not going to cost you more than you're making on the product, and so you have to set up things um, like payments and shipping and how those are going to be processed. Now you can use third party shipping and payment processors, but they have to have a Shopify integration to them. We worked with a client here recently that signed on with a company for their point of sale, and it turned out it didn't work with Shopify. And so they bought all their
yep.
equipment, they bought all kinds of stuff, cost them thousands of dollars for that equipment, and it didn't work with
Wow.
Shopify because they didn't confirm that. And the salesperson even told them that it worked with Shopify because the salesperson wasn't knowledgeable about that. So you have to do your homework if you're going to use a third party. But Shopify does have its own built-in payments, its own built-in shipping services. But again, there are fees associated with that. Just like any merchant processor, I mean, you're going to pay fees for being able to accept payments online. You're going to pay fees for using shipping services, and those shipping services they connect you with things like USPS, UPS, FedEx, things like that, and they use their power of their buying power to get you better rates on your shipping. And so that's why you would use something like that. They're going to get you a better overall rate on your shipping, but shipping still costs
Right.
money. And so you want to make sure that that's built into your service. Either you're going to charge shipping to the customer or you're going to build that into the price of the item. A lot of times on Amazon, for example, you see free shipping. Well, Amazon's got a global network of warehouses that are in every neighborhood in the world, and so they can get you stuff and they can get you stuff cheap. And even if they're making like 2 or 3 cents on an item that they deliver, they've got the volume to do that. You, on the other hand, as a small independent retailer, are going to have to account for your shipping. You're not going to get that great of shipping rates because you're just not big enough yet. And so that's a reality that a lot of small businesses run into. Um, Shipping, payments, and what was the third
Point
thing that you
point
mentioned
of
there,
sale.
Michael?
POS.
Point of sale. So if you've got a physical brick and mortar business where people come in there and buy stores like a retail store or something like that, you're going to need something to help them check out. And fortunately, Shopify does have a point of sale system that they'll send you. But again, it costs money to do that, and there are fees associated with that. And I don't think they necessarily hide their fees, but you have to kind of get into it and get sold on it before they're going to tell you how much it costs. And so those are things for you to really understand. And a lot of times they won't let you get into that until you're past the free trial and you're in a paid subscription. And so they don't want you to see all of these massive fees before you actually sign up for the
Right.
subscription.
Right.
Um, so let's jump
Yeah,
into
the last thing I want to
um,
do, and I think this is all valuable content. So I think we're going to go ahead and save the second half of this for the next episode. We're going to split these up into two episodes. So the one thing that I
mhm.
want to end on before we, as we close out this episode, is product entry. And I don't want to scare anybody, but this can be scary if you're not a spreadsheet person. Just brace yourself. Okay. And this is a small
Right.
example of what a product entry spreadsheet looks like. Go ahead and fire that up, Drew.
Okay. So when you're entering products in Shopify, Um, you've got a couple of different ways that you can do this. Now, you can go piece by piece through the app and enter in your products. And so I'm just going to show you a sample product here. So I've got Retro the Robot
Ooh,
here,
that looks nice.
and this is a sample product, and this is what their product entry page looks like. Um, and so you have a product title. You need to write a description here. Now, I've kept my descriptions minimal for the sample, but you're going to want to make sure that in these descriptions, you're including search engine optimization and things like that. We'll talk about that a little in the next episode. Um, are there variations on your product? So if you've got like a blue and a metal one like this one, and maybe those options are
Yeah,
different
and
prices, and
if
so you can
other
add your variants
variations,
in.
if you're selling
Right.
clothes, it's the color of the shirt, and then
Mhm.
the sizes of the shirt. If it's
Size,
male or female,
right.
it's so depending on your product, that it's
Mhm.
not a robot. This could the variations could be endless.
That's right. Um, you've got you need to choose. A lot of times, a retailer will have like a vendor or who made the toy. Where did you get it from? And so this comes from Acme Toy Company. Then you're going to want to add tags onto that, and we'll get more into this next week. But this is actually how you categorize things in Shopify, so that your product
Hmm.
categories are defined by the tags that you add, and so it creates collections. And then within each variation, I'm going to just edit one of these variations here. You've actually got more information in here. You have a unique SKU for every variation of every product. So if you have a shirt that's in small, medium, large, XL, 2XL, 3XL, you have a unique SKU uh, for every single version of that product. Um, and and then you can choose whether or not it's physical product. You have to put in the weight for shipping, so it calculates all of that stuff. And then I'll come back, and this is a step that most people skip, and it's crucial to your success online, is the search engine listing preview. This is how your listing will look on Google, and you do not want to skip this. You want to add keywords in there that people are going to be typing in when they're searching for your product, and a description here that's actually going to make people want to click through that. Um, so you can do these individually. You can upload the pictures and all that stuff individually, product by product. But if you've got a lot of products, you're probably going to want to go to the spreadsheet option and import that. Well, I'm going to show you an actual spreadsheet that we're working on, and this is what the spreadsheet looks like to bulk upload your products. And so you can see I've got about look at this list.
I think you
Um,
said 1,200.
there's this particular shop had 1,250 products approximately.
Yeah.
So you see that. So that's a lot of lines on there. That's a lot of products. But you're like, okay, well, so yeah, I got a lot of products. But the other thing to consider is there are about close to 50 fields or columns on this spreadsheet to fill out. And so there's a lot of information in here that can go into your product listings, and you've got to create all of that information. You've got to be able to add the variants, and you'll see like on some of these things, the variants here are listed in there in a slightly different format than everything else. So it can get really confusing if you're not a spreadsheet expert or if you're not a data expert. So those are things to really keep in mind that a lot of people don't think about the product entry, but that's really the bulk of setting up your Shopify store. You've got to make sure that your product information is good, solid. It's got what people need to be able to make that purchasing decision. You've got good photos, and we'll get into photography and stuff next week. But there's so much there that you need to do with those product descriptions, and most retailers, especially if you're just starting out, don't think about how much is involved. They just think, oh, I've got these products and I want to sell them, and that should be easy. I can just set up a Shopify store. And there's a lot that goes into it. Next week we're going to be talking about a lot more um, that I mean, believe it or not, there's a lot more to this setting this up, and we're going to talk about your different store locations. We're going to talk about making sure your photography is good, all of that stuff. But so this is a two-part episode here, and there's a lot
Yes,
to setting up a
and
Shopify
folks,
store.
if you haven't realized it, we haven't gotten past the setup. There's we haven't even launched.
Yes,
So this is this
that's
depending
right.
on the timeline you're on, this could be a pretty heavy lift. And so, if you want to if you want to do this quickly, depending on, like I said, that timeline, there's some more hidden costs there because you can get this done quickly, but it's going to take a couple more chefs in the kitchen. So before,
You know, I once worked for an advertising agency, and we kind of had an internal motto back then. You know, this is not the motto of my agency, but it kind of applies. Good, fast,
right,
cheap.
absolutely,
Pick two.
you can't do three of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, we want to, each week we want to give somebody that is listening something that they can do that's actionable, that will make a difference in their digital marketing journey. And this week, we wanted to, since we're so deep into the Shopify discussion, the pro tip that I'm going to throw out there today is yes, this seems easy because we all shop online. So this is what I challenge you guys to do. If this is a journey that you want to go down, go go try to buy something online and sort of track where you go to from the home page to the product page to the search result page, and start taking notes about what you like about that experience, what you don't like, because that's going to provide you and inform the decisions you're going to make about your Shopify. I almost said Spotify, Shopify store. Drew, do you have anything to say about that? Anything to add?
You know, that's really good advice. I mean, the best thing that you can do, especially if you're considering opening a retail store, or if you're considering selling products online, go online and take a very hard look at the experience that you have in online shops. Look at the big shops like Amazon.com. Look at the small shops like some of your small local retailers. Um, get to the even if you're not necessarily buying things, put something in the cart. You know, get most of the way through the checkout process. Find out what that's like for you, and think about all of the things that you will need to do to make sure that you provide a great online
And
experience
I
for
mean,
your
even as
guests.
little, we take this for granted on almost every site now, is a little chat, like to field a question in real time. Well, newsflash, who is answering those chats? on your site? Is it going to be a little bot? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be somebody else in your brick and mortar? So just different things like that. Find out what what you would want your customers to feel like when they're on your shop, and just take notes on that. And then when you run into somebody like Drew and you have him hammering out a Shopify site for you, those are things that after the setup and when it goes live, those are some of the discussions you can have. Well, that is all we have for this week. It seemed like a lot because guess what? It was a lot. That's why we split it up into 2 episodes. Drew, what do you got going this week? What are you excited about? And what are we going to be talking about next week?
Well, in our agency, we actually do help build Shopify shops, and so we're actually working on one for a client right now that we're hoping to get launched here in the next few weeks. And so if you need help with your products online, we can certainly help with that. Um, we've got all of those fun marketing things going on, and in the middle of that, I'm actually taking my oldest off to orientation for his college. And so um, just all kinds of stuff always going on here at Estate Plan. Um, but I'm really looking forward to finishing out the second part of this episode because it's it really is a great tool if you
All
use
right.
it well.
Any parting shots for those of you guys who are watching, who are listening? Any parting shots for those folks?
I'll just say peace
See
and
you
long
guys.
life.
Bye.